You heard of destiny, something that was passed down, it was guarded through a legacy. A refugee listened Fuji Lawa, got it through the mezzanine. Most of us got trauma, so we go to war when we ride out. And if you're undocumented, bust your shit and then you slide out. Different hood, different places, you could see the grills on faces. This is what the hell they gave us hell is how they raised us. With the shits, I've been in the shits. Too much shit, yeah, I'm really legit. Flip my wrist while I'm whipping the grits. Flip my wrist when I'm when I'm hitting the lick. EBT, it came on the 6th. It's the 16th, so I'm back on the strip. Mama can't sit. Mama doing double shift. She worked too hard. She don't even exist. Hurt too hard. Work too hard, but she won't even admit. Shoes tied 10 times, toes down, don't strip. Some of these doors just gotta get kicked. All of these cases just gotta get ripped. All of y'all ranks just gotta get stripped. All of y'all kids just gotta get whipped. Your hand on the Bible, but that don't mean shit. Cause men lie, women lie, and they can't resist. Better 25 to life wouldn't drop my fist. My ancestors really gave me this. Liberation, honor, pay me this. Fred Hammond really gave me this. A revolutionary made me this.
Is that a poem?
Huh?
Is that a poem?
Nah, that's a rap.
That's a rap.
That was hard as a.
That's not hard as a poem though. I'm like, ooh, punchline go boom.
Yo, grab a sage.
It's a safe space. We
Let's
make
circle
space
out.
so you can take space.
Everybody bring their best self.
It's a safe space.
Anybody
we
can
make
pop it
space
off.
so you can take space.
She a story, I'll hold the space for you. She a story, I'm listening, I'll take it and I'll take it and I'm listening, I'll hold the space for you.
It's a safe
She a
space.
story,
We make
yeah.
space so you can take space.
She a story, I'll hold the space for you.
So this is Alex. They, them. I can get some keys sometimes, but try to just be me. Alright. And I'm just trying to be me. Boom. Who am I as related to being a male body person? I think for for myself, who I am is like someone who struggled to like figure out who are they, like when they was young. Like where do I fit in? And I think like even at the ages like mad little, like I didn't even understand. I don't even know if I understood love or understood what love was. But I understood like people would give me energy in certain things, and I felt like even at a young age, who I was couldn't really like make sense of that to like even have empathy for other people who probably really did care for me and I didn't understand it. I think who am I? Definitely grew up in a home of just like mad women, and all of from my grandmother to like my mom's to like they I got it to they just like been like, just went through shit with like mad dudes too. My grandmother came here with her husband, my grandfather, and when he got here, he left her and the kids for a white woman. And I think that's like really like put a lot of pain on my grandmother. And I don't even know if like my grandmother ever been with somebody after that. I think who I am too as like, a male body person, I be like definitely or just struggling to find like my place too, like navigating being in relationships, even like being honest, I think is the hugest one too. I think like mainly been thinking about integrity a lot, and it's just like I've been really trying to just be honest more with people when it's just really been very hard to be honest with people for the last few years, and especially about real shit.
Yeah, I feel like to me, I feel like the majority of my life, I've had this like, what you call it? I forgot what it's called, but it's like damn. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, like let's say you work hard to like achieve something, right? Or you work hard, like let's say you're in a relationship, it's going really good, or you worked hard to get like a certain job or a certain position in the job, or you just like created something, whatever, and then like because of how you grew up, or because like you just used to certain things, you think that if something's going too good, it's like that's not supposed to be happening. So you have like I want to call it like a suicidal tendency, but like it's not suicidal as far as killing yourself. It's suicidal like when you build something up, you end up somehow like fucking it up, doing something to fuck it up.
Alright, open that door first then.
Huh?
What's that story? Because you're giving us the context. Yeah.
So,
you know what it is.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like even like in like a lot of relationships, for example, like I've had relationships where like let's say I became like, what you call it, like used to our relationships in a certain way, and then like just used to like them not working out, or like just just something like somehow happening. So I feel like my wife now, I feel like even like in like all my relationships I've been home, I feel like I'd be like, damn, now this is too good to be true, like, you know what I'm saying? And then I end up, that energy kind of used to get like build on me, where like naturally and organically I would do something to like fuck it up, because I thought, because it's in my spirit already, like automatically, like nah, I know. And a lot of times it's me already thinking like something, like already knowing like something's bad about to happen,
premeditated.
So why don't I just get it out the way now? I think that's been a lot of energy too, like let me get it out the way before it naturally happens, you know what I'm saying? So I think as a male body, I think I think a lot of these situations happen because I'm gonna say, I say because of pride. A lot of times because of pride, like you get into arguments, and because you feel like you're a male, you're supposed to be like you don't want to show like a weak side. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to show a weak side, so sometimes like, or maybe you don't feel like you feel like if you become vulnerable with your partner, they might look at you like different. So you just like, you kind of like block that, like you just block that option out the way. Like I'm not gonna let my pride down. I gotta be like, be a man in this relationship. I can't just like, a lot of times you feel like you gotta be the one like take control of the relationship. You know what I'm saying? I feel like as a man, that's just how you feel sometimes. So yeah, I think as a male body, like that's something that I think that's good when you actually learn to be vulnerable. Like I've learned to like open up more with my partners and stuff like that. But I think as a male body too, like my wife and other people, other partners, like communication, they was like, yo, why I'm always telling you my stories, but you never tell me your stories. Like why am I the one always talking? That's what my partners would tell me. So I think like just that communication, not really sharing stories or like opening up. But yeah.
For me, it's all about being a male body. I think it started with my mom. Like honestly, like my issues with women comes with my mom, cause like I was young, feel me? Like I was 3, and my mom and my stepdad got together. My pops was not there, feel me? So like me growing up, like I see the ideology of what a man's supposed to be and what a man is. because my step-pops, he run the crib, but he's silent. He's very, very militant. He don't joke too much, and if he jokes, to a minimum. That's it. You feel me? And like I was like more hyper with it. Like I was like, so what's up? And then he like, you need to slow down. You need to calm down. And then like I see gradually I started seeing myself changing. Like I got more isolated from people. And then like for me as a man, it's just I was trying to figure out who I want to be as a man. I felt like my struggles was basically figure out like who I want to be. Cause I felt like for me, I always like skinny jeans. I don't like baggy clothes. I don't know why baggy clothes for me was never my thing. It was never, even though it was style, I didn't like that shit. And like, for me, just like it was different to my family. Cause I like my shit to fit me where I like it. And like my step-pops, it was like, he's on this, he blood. From my stops his 20s, he's a big homie in the blood. He was running the streets, doing what he was doing, and I was doing what I was doing in school. But like, it was just like, I have him around, then I have my uncles who were crib, and they show their toughness in a different way. Like, they don't cry for nothing. So like, when they talk, it's just like, they say what they gotta say and call it a day, end of the story type shit. So like, just for me, I look at all of them differently. Then I noticed to myself, as I got older, I started mocking different things from them, different traits. Then I started noticing like my step-pops, I'd be quiet. I'd be in my head a lot. Then like even when you said it, that's confirmed a lot more because I'm like, dang, I might be in my head a lot. And then when you said it, it confirmed what I believe. That was a fact. Because when you said it confirms, like, yo, you quiet, you stay to yourself. I noticed I became the same thing that he wanted me to be. Is to be quiet, don't say shit. Just like, just listen and keep going. So for me, I also agree with you, Phil, because like in my relationships a lot, I do the same thing. Like communication for me, I don't talk. Like I'm gonna give you so much, and then that's it. I ain't talking about nothing else. I don't talk about my pops. I don't want to know. We don't talk about that. My mom, we ain't talking about that. Like I don't want to talk about certain shit. And up to this day, it just goes to even my friends. For me, like it's just how like even like in my relationships, like now with my partner. It's like, it creates a different portal now, because now she give me the space to actually talk about it. She's like, I want to know. Like, we're not getting off this phone until you tell me something about you that I need to know. And then I start realizing a man's supposed to like have emotional connection, no matter if you're a man or not. And I start seeing like, start showing love, start hugging people. I don't like hugging people, but I start seeing, when you start hugging people, you feel a different way. People treat you differently. People respect you differently. People engage with you differently. When you show them love differently. So like being a male-bodied person for me is just always about how can I be a man that allows himself to be vulnerable but yet still be true. Because society don't allow you to be vulnerable. So like for me, for Bill Murray, it's like I was like, that's what like, for me, my mechanism was, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Like, because that's what society wants me to be. And I feel like in those times I want to be vulnerable if I can't. I feel like for me also like in my relationships a lot of times when I try to be vulnerable, what they do, they get up and they leave. So what I do is like, alright, you want to leave? Go ahead. And I treat everybody the same way. Like that goes for family, friends, anybody. You want to leave? Go. That's why, like, even when y'all talk about, like, even when us, when we talk about we would bring somebody new, I say straight up plain, I don't know, I don't fucking talk to them. Because, like, for me, I have a culture, like, people always let me down. Like, even when I had, like, go to school. And my mom never come to none of my shit when I had them trips. She never show up. All the ones that she showed when I got an award, when I went to a competition for Spanish, one time. Feel me? One time out of my life. And that was in high school. Feel me? So like I always have that mechanism of where, well, if a man's supposed to be figured out by himself, I'm gonna figure it out on my own. That's why like I don't tell people when I do things. I just keep it moving. Cause I always like sometimes militant, sometimes works for you.
Nah, that question is deep, man. That question is like, I'm like 38, so that question got like a journey. I just remember being mad little, like, I don't know, freestyling, but like, my mom's telling me I was a boy and like dressing me like a boy. and like just knowing I was like wearing sports clothes and like playing sports, and that kind of was like my, you know, like manhood and like stuff at that age. My mom's was with my stepfather, who I think was like a really good person. So I kind of like always seen how like I used to think my mom's wasn't like the best partner. Just always had like mad judgment on my mom's because she just was like smoking, just always not home, leaving for mad days, and he just wasn't even my father. He's just holding down. So a lot of like my ideas of like manhood early on came on through like just seeing how he hold it down, and like I thought that was dope. So I thought a lot of like my ideas and stuff like was around that. But at the same time, I grew up in like in my building too, so it was just mad drugs, mad, you know, as I got older and I was seeing more stuff, just mad people outside looking fly, 90s. So I was just also seeing mad block energy. And as I got older, like my mom's also just helping me like survive in that block energy, was just giving me certain principles, like you know, certain principles and certain pedagogy. So I think at certain times, you know, like me and my cousin Pooh grew up at the same time. So like part of the manhood at some point became like protect each other, take care of each other. Like if one of y'all come home crying, y'all both better be home crying. And then like that takes on another thing outside with the community and with folks and stuff. And then like how people who are older see young people who like loving each other or trying to like hold down each other. Plus also just, you know, people you grew up with, we the same ages. So I think just a lot of competition, a lot of like energy to be like trying to always like jump something the highest, touch something. I think that was like part of being a manhood, like just doing like stuff that was kind of reckless a little bit, like throwing rocks, you know, I think trying to be down or whatever is like part of manhood, like just trying to be down and just trying to like be cool. I think yeah, man, at a certain point in life, like my mom was like, I went to Mississippi and I was being raised in Mississippi, and there was a lot of yes ma'am and yes sir after like all that New York and hopping the trains and just like mad. So I kind of got like another vibe of like what it means to be a man and what it means to be like a nephew and like all of that down there, like mad, like slower, but also the streets are just mad loose too. Like people who are out just is way out. Like Pooh was like, while I was playing basketball, like my cousin Pooh was like 14, 15, just selling mad drugs and just doing mad stuff. So I also kind of like seen like drugs and guns and like understood that was like part of some of like my manhood, some of the manhood that's out there that makes sense, and how that like what comes with that. Yeah, man, I used to play basketball a lot too, just saying that too, man. I felt like a lot of like my like identity and manhood come through like playing basketball and just like being a point guard and just trying to like get better. But yeah, man, I think just like when you feel like just poverty, just being in poverty, mom's on drugs, like you don't have certain kind of like foods and certain kind of like rent and some stability. So I think like, yeah, like there's a lot of, you know, just the way we raised, it's just like, you know, like trying to like take care of your moms and take care of yourself, like another kind of manhood, like it's like you step into that's related to like growing up in the streets and all that, that's related to like the stuff you've been touching on, but like it's also, you know, like it's also in the context of like you're not like, you don't got a diploma, you ain't like been the best student. It's like, so you like figuring out how to like take care of your family and all that, like in like the underworld, you know? So I think that's like a whole nother manhood kind of like process. I think when I went to jail and like I knew I was gonna be a father, and I think like, yeah, I think like just even just going to jail and just like being involved in just going to jail and being separated, being involved in like a homicide, and then like having a child on the way. I think all of those things, just like mad humanities and just like mad manhoods, just come into foreplay, you know. And I think, like in a lot of ways, those things are related, even though they feel like mad different. Like being like charged as a murderer, being a father, like being somebody like husband, being somebody's son, or being somebody like worst enemy. All of that is like at the same time, you know. And you just like, damn, that's mad different manhoods, you know. It's just like mad stuff. And then like, I think like during those times when I was on the block, like I think like as it relates to like women and as it relates to like my ideas with women, I think like when I was deep on the block, like I think growing up at first with my father, it was more like, yeah, this dude is dope, and it's just like a lot of just deep wisdom and principles. But I think as I started like seeing like all of the manhood that come with like just being amongst just like block love and just block energy, and how like men and women like show up with like manhood, I think like at some point like I didn't feel like the kind of manhood like that my dad had like made sense. Like even though like I felt like that's probably like more like my spirit, I didn't feel like it had like a space to exist. So I kind of like I always felt more naturally leaning towards that kind of style, but like I didn't feel like, I felt like it didn't work, or like I got like shamed, or like people didn't accept it. So I learned early that like that just wasn't something that you should lean on, you know? Like, but I always felt it under like, you know, and I think like it wasn't until I went to prison that like I kind of like started to get more of the courage to kind of like, to like hear that more. And I feel like before prison I kind of like masked that sound and did other things to kind of like not like show up that way in my manhood. And it's just kind of like in a list of ways, just like not understand how like important my relationship with women were, and like respect just humanity in that way. And I think when I went to prison, I started to, like, I'm not saying I did it better, but I started to really appreciate it better. And my manhood like honored like that in a different way. And I think after I came out of prison, I think like I'm learning that you just always, you're on a forever journey, like on that process, like you are always learning more ways to kind of like evolve your manhood and like know how you gotta grow or think you gotta grow and struggle with that. I think, I feel like I'm a long way from like how I thought about my manhood like before I went to prison, but I still feel like I'm a long way to still go in my manhood and think about how to grow and how it's changing with like how I know myself and how the world knows me.
No pain, no glory. Let me share my story. I got a cougar called Nina, that's my favorite 40.
First part of that is like with yourself, you know what I'm saying? Because you like are like a bunch of men inside of you. And I think, but I think also because, I think like the world that we live in, like just has like an energy and like a structure that like automatically like take away intimacy from men. Unless you like actively seeking like certain moments of intimacy with men, like you get it, kind of like your homeboy said, like, well, I don't really talk about real shit with my man. Like you get certain intimacy. You don't. I'm not saying you don't get it, but I feel like just the structure of the monopoly game of the way the world is situated, like certain levels of intimacies are always kind of like borders in like men relationships. Stuff around like. Like how we hurt people, stuff around like how we was hurt when we was young that still like follow with us. Yeah, like just stuff like that, man. Like feelings that like we just haven't got over with certain things. For all of us to be different, there's certain feelings we haven't got over with certain things. We just don't. it's just mad structural energy that just be in our dynamics. So I think that's why one reason why it's important. I think also, at the same time, like there's a lot of connection. If energy is moved towards that intimacy, like I think I don't know if it's masculine energy, but I think yeah, man, I think there's always mad moments that where there's like portals that men create with each other that be portals where they can go deep. So I think there's mad connections. I think there's always portals that we have that if we want to go deep. That like, not saying that women can't create those portals with men either, but I just feel like just the way we situate how close we are, that we create certain portals that if we had a certain intentions, that'd be dope for us too. And then another thing I think like it'd make the world better, like our relationships better with other folks, the ripple effect. Like if we was building with each other more and like creating more intimacy with us, like the ripple effect that it have on like the people that we're around. And like our relationships with other people and the people that we're around, like just having another space to kind of like be intimate, like outside of or within like the kind of traditional intimate spaces. I think it would just give those other intimate spaces like another kind of boost of energy. At least coming from all of us, like from the men who are going through that process.
I think that's a rhetorical question. I feel like men create portals long before that question was even existed. Because like, you know, it goes back to like the barbershop days, go to the backyard, pick your friends, talking, having conversations. I feel like that been happening, but I feel like lately in our generation, a lot of men hasn't have the platform or space to actually go deep into their critical thinking of who they are as men. So I feel like the spaces don't be holding that enough in reality. And I feel like if men start creating portals to where they have relationship not only with their men but also with their sons, that like can change the difference. It can also create a new generation of what men looks like or what a young man looks like. I feel like in a generation has been lost. So like to see a man have circles, it will be where every man from every background, every race, whoever they are, just be in a space where they can like just share who they are as human beings. Because I feel like all of us men have something that we lack or something that we don't understand about ourselves that another man can actually give us the answer to. And I feel like a lot of times, like yeah, we might have our partners, but our partners might be one portal, but not be the portal that you're seeking for. And I feel like a lot of times that's why like when men are like sitting together, it creates a different energy. And then you just create a dynamics where like y'all could go deep, but just know how far you can go deep with it. And I think like it's just like for me personally, like my stepfather's like he used to take me to the barbershop every Saturday, me and my little brother. Feel me? And they used to talk about women that slept with, or what women treat them bad, or how they're fucked up in relationships, and what they did was wrong. So like I always seen like men talk about critical issues behind closed doors, but a lot of people don't often see. So like I always, that's how I said, like I feel like it always been happening. I feel like if we create spaces, not only in those spaces that where men can be allowed only per se, but also create spaces in our homes too. I feel like a lot of times we saying create spaces out in places, but not our homes, not with ourselves. And I feel a lot of times us as men have toxic traits that we allow to seek who we are and validates who we are as human beings. And like a lot of times our egos is like, that's where the space at, is the ego. And if you like erase those egos and those pride, and then you just share that with your brothers who might go through the same struggles as you will see that person, not only a human being as you, but you will see him as a brother like you. Then you will see different ripple effects of like, you know, community will be different, the shape will be different, like the culture will be different. But you know, culturally, you know, the picture of men's circles are is not what typical is. Like, you know, they show barbershop, they're talking, but But a lot of men do talk about like critical, important things in their life too. And I feel like the media alone like changed that narrative what it is, but not what it actually is. So that's what I think.
I think like with somewhat what Keron was saying, like men usually don't have enough platforms. But I think it's more so like a lot of our relationships that we have like with other male friends or like or whoever, I feel like we don't spend enough time together to establish trust to be able to discuss certain things. So like, you know, if you see a man just on a block twice a week or you know, you go see them once a week or 3 times a week, but it's a lot of short conversations here and there. You don't really like get a chance to like have intentional conversations about certain things. I think so. Yeah. So I think the trust is never built. But I think when men actually have circles where like they are around like the same people like on a weekly basis, like maybe like 3-4 times a week or whatever, like I think they get to build like a certain trust with each other to be able to discuss certain things and know that like it stays within the circle. So that's part of it. I think, yeah. And I think like a lot of people, a lot of men also don't don't feel comfortable being vulnerable or feel comfortable being exposing any of their internal. So I think it's good to show that it's okay to open up. It's okay to, you know, be vulnerable or discuss things that's gonna make you uncomfortable sometimes. Yeah, and then there's just certain things that men can only discuss around other men. Like they might not feel like their wife or their female family members will understand them as much as a man would. So, you know, I think that's why those conversations are very important. Or those spaces are very important to have too.
I feel like at a very young age, well, for me specifically, I was able to get some brotherhood and some friendship in. I definitely had a best friend when I was young, and the daycare I went to had other boys there, and were like, though I definitely didn't share like all the shit in my life, which I also didn't have no language for, so of course I couldn't tell them that shit. But in some ways, word, like, I really appreciated a lot of that kind of love that we had for each other in that certain way. You know, we had sleepovers. You know, I used to go to a lot of sleepovers with my bros to their crib, or like we just have mad sleepovers all together, and we play video games until like 6 a.m. in the morning. So like a lot of those, even like those was the first time like I even drank liquor, because me and my bros would find a liquor in one of their cabinets, and you feel me? We just mad young, you feel me? But like you know, those were split ways of me understanding like, oh, like a connection with just males all together or just boys together felt good. And then like growing up more older, I felt like you lose that, because there's the real shit becomes more direct in your face, and you have to hold that, and you don't know how to communicate that with other people. So it's like knowing that like, yo, like either your mom's on drugs, or you feel me, like you deep in the streets selling drugs, or be in the streets doing other shit, gangbanging, or however, like, you literally don't be eating. You eat like twice a day, maybe once a day. You haven't washed your clothes all week. Like, I think, like, definitely, like, yeah, like, we don't be talking about all the shit that, like, that really be affecting us every day to day, that, like, really hurts us. And I think, like, like, the way I seen, like, my sisters and them have, like, friends and girlfriends and how they build, like, I didn't have that with my friends. And I was like, I always envied that in a certain way. It's like, you know, and I feel like a part of, like, what I'm trying to bring up, even like I think when I became more into, like, the streets or, like, just being in the trap, I spent a lot of time with my bros. It was not like word, but what was going on too, we wasn't saying much. You understand? I believe, like, dudes could be spending mad time with each other and really not elevating each other. Really not, like, just sitting there saying mad shit that means nothing for our real humanity. Real fucking shit.
Yeah, shit.
And yeah, like word, I could just think, like, dang, like, I really didn't communicate all the shit that, like, I was going through, all the shit I was just feeling about them or in myself in those moments. And I think, like, for male circles, yeah, like, I think definitely we need to have spaces outside of circles to, like, be building and caring and showing all the different sides of ourselves. And I think for here, it needs to be specifically so that you're able to, like, share those sides, like, share all the things that you still be hiding when you outside. And I think it's important because, yeah, like, you just, all that built up feelings, it really does something to you. It erodes in you. It just, like, creates things in you. And you need to, like build a community, like a little families, people that, brothers that you, even when you're in the circle together, you'll be able to give that to them. Be like, yo, can you hold this for me? Because this shit is just too heavy. This shit is too heavy, and I've been holding it for too long by myself. And I think those is really when you know, like even for somebody to tell you that, you just like, wow, like how you say no to your bro, like, when they say something like that, you know? So it's like even the two-way street of thinking, like, being in a circle and being prepared to, like, be there for your bro, be there for us in a way that, like, yo, like, just know, like, word, like, there's a lot that goes into that. And definitely, I think what is important too, like, whatever, like even when we say, like, story stays, wisdom goes, what also goes is the circle back. You feel me? We can't be outside in our lives not thinking that whatever we said here isn't gonna be a way for us to, like, recreate our new selves out there, or try to build, like, do something out there. And that's who you build with your bros. Whoever you told here in this circle should be the ones you navigate with, like, yo, I'm thinking about doing this because I already share these things, you know, and I'm thinking about this for myself now. Feel me? Because the circle will only do so much. You gotta be the whole. You gotta be doing it for the whole of you, the way you go throughout the world. Yeah.
Before you share your story, let me tell you who I am. Yo, my name is Cory, and speaking truth ain't always easy, but you gotta own it.
I think personally, like creating spaces like about sexual harm, I think at first you gotta start with yourself. Like if you know you've been harmed, you first. A lot of times, people blame themselves for the trauma they've been through. And they always blame themselves, feeling like this shouldn't happen to me, that couldn't happen to me. But when you start realizing, like, sometimes also in sexual harm, you also gotta hold accountable to yourself too. Why you might say that harm has done to you, you also have to acknowledge, like, you play some part in the harm too. And I feel like to navigate it as a man, I think it's a challenge because a lot of times, like in my household, you talk about like my step pops. He always be on some like, you gotta eat the kitty to get the break, get the wave, get your whole beard going. And I'll be like, man, I ain't doing none of that shit. You like, you gay for that shit? I'm like, no, it's not about being gay. I just don't want to talk about certain shit. But like in my house, like that they consider like, it's harm because like they feel like the way they act as men, I have to be that way. I feel like, to talk about sexual harm for me was like, it was one of the most toxic things for me to deal with. Cause I feel like the word good boy, I don't like the word good boy. But like, I feel like cause I always respect women. And I see the culture around me was more like, you gotta grab the ass, you gotta smack her, you gotta tell her whatever she wants to hear so she can feel good about herself. But that was not me. I'm more into like, yo, chill, like you don't need to do all this. Like it's not that necessary to do all this shit. And like like for me, like when I was 14, like I was with my friends. And we was just talking about the different females we were talking to or whatever. And then like, I was chilling with my friends, we started drinking at 14. We did the same thing but in Belize, we had no cabinet, that shit outside in the back alley with a little store that's where all the liquors be at. So you gotta know where it is, so you just go and get it. And like for me, like I was with my friends and we were just talking and then we was chilling and cooling. And then like one of my friends, he didn't know how to drink, so he got drink so much, then he got horny. For me, like it was different for me. I didn't understand that shit. And then he just got aggressive for me personally. And like, it's just like, yo, he got aggressive. He tried to rape me. So talk about sexual harm for me is just like something I don't talk about. It's never happened in my book. For me. So that's kind of like question like a lot of things in my life. Like, what is a man supposed to be? Who a man supposed to be? For me, I don't talk about it. My mom don't know about it because I don't talk about it. To nobody. I take that shit to the grave and still go be in that grave. I'm gonna fuck. Like, and it's somebody that I was cool with. I was best friends with. For me. So like, you talk about sexual harm. And then like my pastor was talking about like, yo, grab it by the pussy. I'm like, yo, I ain't do none of that shit, P. Cause like, they don't understand how I feel. Being a young man trying to figure out shit. And then, then I feel uncomfortable with myself anyway. Of where I'm born with. You know what I mean? Like, that even create more toxic for me. So like, talking about sexual harm is like, yo, like, it's like you talking about destroying our human compassion, a human capacity, our human characteristics. So when you talk about sexual harm, it's like you going at someone's character. So for me, like my mom, we trying to talk about it. She got mad, like in her feelings, and I'm like, yo, fuck it, we ain't talking about shit no more. So whatever. Like we trying to talk about it. Like why you not having sex with girls? For me, it's not that I don't want to have sex with girls. It's like I'm comfortable. It's who I am as a man. It's like, yo, I'm born with this shit. I figured it out all my life. Like I still got to figure it out and navigate through it all my life. I just avoid conversation. I just have sex and call it no talking. We ain't talking, just in and out type shit and call it a day. For me. So for me, it's just like it's way different than what you think sexual harm is. Cause like I don't talk about certain shit. That's why I act the way I do, like certain shit. Cause it's like, yo, it's just like there's certain in my life that I wish I could take back. For me, it's just like that's why like certain things I stay quiet to. That's when people talk about like when us talk about like the woman like when Victor was one time Victor was talking about like the shit he do with women when he's before this or whatever. I don't talk about certain shit because I was so insecure who I am as a man. I felt I was not man enough, and I felt like I was not real enough to be a man either, because I felt like that's not what a man looks like. That's not what a man's supposed to be like. That's not like a man. That'll look at my step-pops. So like for me, just like I was trying to figure it out. That's why like in my relationships I never talk about like what I do in the bedroom. It's like we're just gonna see when we see. Simple as that. So like in my family, like even up to this day they think I was gay because I don't bring no girl home. Cause I go to their crib, do what I gotta do, go home. Because to them it's like I wear skinny jeans, I wear little medium-sized shirts. I don't wear shirts that was large, but I can still pick up a girl. But in their eyes, they're like, nah, we know you pick up a nigga, it's okay. But I'm like, the fuck? Feel me? And then they're like, yo, I'm just saying. I'm like, I'm just saying, the fuck? Why would you say some shit like that? And then like, it just came out to my mom's. Like, when I was 20, like, I was trying to pick up this one girl. And I was in a car. And I was like, yo, girl, come here. Because, I'm down south, that's how they talk, you know what I mean? And then she was like, then my cousin's boyfriend, he like, yo, don't talk to her like that. I'm like, yo, shit, that's how they talk, this is what it is. Then like, when he got back to the crib, he told my mom, and my mom and her friends, and my aunt and them, they start laughing at me. Oh, you don't know how to Mac. You're not a real man. And I'm like, alright, bet, it's whatever. So what I do is, I just make my life private, even more private. That means not even my mom gonna know nothing about me. And I just cut people off. That's why I cut people off. Cause like, yo, like even when I come to try to talk, like, yo, like, and then for her to even did that, I was disrespectful. Then for my step-pops to did that was disrespectful. Like, so like sexual harm is like, yo, you don't know how much it takes to like dig yourself out something that sometimes normally you don't talk about.
I think for that, like it's crazy. Like I think like one of the things I realize a lot of times is like if I'm talking about healing or like doing circles or about like trauma, about like healing from wounds or whatever, from past situations, and then like in my personal life, I realized a lot of times without even thinking, I realized I create some of the harms, in my relationships. So like, when you're looking at it from the outside and like you actually like doing a workshop on it or like, just speaking to different people about their situations, you get lost in everybody else's situations that you don't realize that in your own situation you're committing some of the same stuff. So I think that for me, like sexual harm has like been the way I've navigated conversations around is like trying to see like if it's between my wife or me and my partner, trying to make sure that like the trust is there to be able to open up about anything, like instead of like that's like right now my marriage, that's why I think part of the problem why it went downhill, because we didn't open up enough space to have conversations that like, target like what's the problems and how we gonna fix it, So I think once you let all that build up for a certain amount of time, I think it's like, it just becomes like poison. That's like, filtered poison went in the water, you can't get it out. It's like it's just spreading, So I think I've navigated conversations poorly around sexual harm. I think, I haven't got to like, I haven't got to a place where like I could like communicate it and like pinpoint it in my own life and then like work on it. But I don't know really if that's sexual harm I'm trying to describe, or like more like emotional harm. I think I'm leaning more like towards like emotional harm.
This is a good clarification. Same thing over here.
Because, you know, a lot of people, I feel like, you know, they could go through a lot of situations, but then, you know, they'll never, like, they'll always think that situations, their situations were the worst until they go through, like emotional abuse, or like, you know, just emotional, how do you describe it? Yeah, just like breaking down like an internal system, you know, and crushing it. Like, I guess we talk about like hopelessness a lot. Like, so I think make people, like putting people in situations where they feel hopeless, or crushing their emotions, or yeah, I think it's like, it's hard to navigate those conversations. But yeah, I'm gonna pass. I gotta think about that one too.
Even the most micro things could be like things that go so fast like this that you didn't see the harm so being done. And there's things that just be like a bam in your face, and you just like, oh, the harm is right there, you see it. And I think like, yeah, definitely for like boys in general, dudes in general, we block a lot of sexual harm. I think we like whatever is like you heard what people be the sisters who like be having the headphones in their ears when dudes try to talk about the blockers. You got the blockers on. We got whatever. When it comes to sexual harm, we got the blockers on. Our whole face, our eyes act like we don't see it. We haven't heard it. We didn't know it passed us. That we ain't touch it. That shit ain't hit us. It ain't hurt us. Words, son. And this has been a thing that's been like going on since we was young, though. So imagine doing that shit for like 1,000, like 100,000 times. How about 500,000 times? How about 1,000,000 times? So yeah, I think that's why it's so hard to even pinpoint, like so hard for dudes to pinpoint sexual harm in our lives too, because it really has to do a lot of deep reflection. You have to look at the first time when your mom said you a little nigga. Huh? What about the first time when some girl played you because your dick wasn't hard? Or the time where your bro did some wild disrespectful shit to some girl and you really didn't like it, but you ain't say nothing. I think like, yeah, you know, the conversation of sexual harm, like for us in general, definitely has to be like, I think definitely like on a level of like, I think Keron put on a hidden point on that of like self-reflection. Like you really need to think about what have you been hiding subconsciously? What have you like literally was like, yo, and like even the shit that we say we don't take to the grave, best believe you got some shit that you haven't thought about in years that you put in your grave. And I think those things is stuff that even hold us back from reaching like being our like new selves, true selves. I think another thing I was thinking about, like, yo, like, I've been with women who really know how to communicate their sexual harm. Like, word. And word, like, it's clear as day. You know? And that's something like I'm still trying to learn from too. Like, what does that mean? And I think also a reason why I think it's also important for you know, us male bodies to have circles with each other is because I really believe that we are afraid of women finding out that we have harmed women. Like, saying that in a whole group of women being there, we don't even know what is going to happen. What is the outcome? And I definitely think, not saying like we don't need our sisters, like we definitely need our sisters to be there to help us navigate through that truth and through that story and through what is to come for our new selves after that. And I believe like you really need to tell your brothers first who could really at least grapple with that with you before you share that to your sisters to grapple with. Yeah.
I think like for a lot of, I would say like black and brown folks, but I would just say like me personally and like just like people I know in my family and like the block I grew up. But I think it's more general than that. But like I think sexual harm, like when you was young, either like the combination of like you being sexually harmed or like you sexually harming somebody, and just like growing up in that and whatever like small or big way you experience that in like whatever time zone, like how I was talking about earlier, like in different young ages you think who you are based on certain things that is in your life. And I think a lot of us who are young, poor, we experience certain things at certain parts of our life. And I think a lot of our life is kind of like secretly defined by that. You know, a lot of that be like who we are. You know what I'm saying? A lot of like who we are, when we talk about like who we are. And I think it's deep, like, cause like, I know definitely like just in all my male bodiness, like I definitely wasn't trying to talk about that, but like even just like all the dope feminine energy in my family wasn't talking about it either, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, but like in some movement spaces, I feel like there's a little more space people try to talk about it, certain kind of movement spaces. But it's still very hard. It's like very silent. It's only like certain iterations of it get like space and movement spaces. It ain't like the full story and the details. It's like you know, you can identify. It's like, but it ain't like, it's still like not all of the humanity of it be coming out, you know. Or I feel like people feel like it's a space for all of it to come out because it just don't be coming out like that, you know. So I just feel like. Yeah, I feel like it's the silent, like, but like, you know, like ever present, like version of like who people be. You know, a lot of it be like how people trust people, how people don't trust people. A lot of like how people thought who they were, what they were, how they like showed up in certain moments of their life, and then how like people trying to heal from those moments, how they showed up, or trying to like keep it going. You know, a lot of it be wrapped up in that. You know, I think, yeah, man, I think like, I don't know what's a how to talk about that, you know? Sometimes, like, I'll be, like, thinking about it, like, yeah, like, I feel like almost, me personally, but also just for in general, I feel like like I be saying this a lot in spirit world, but I feel like everybody, like, no, you just can't ask nobody that. Like, that might mean something. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Everybody know you just don't got space to ask them, and it should be so at any moment I feel like your how could be wrong, cause it's like a universal energy that says like it's no space there, you know. But and in certain relationships, even, you know, so I feel like I think today, man, what I know in my journey, man, like I think I kind of understand that, and I kind of like am like questioning more myself, and just like the portals, like where I see those portals at, and just I think that's gonna lead to like more experiments. You know what I'm saying? Like, see if I can experiment, see what happens if I try it, you know. But I think like if I like bring that more into my conversation, but I just think about like my moms, like my cousins, like who like my same age, like I don't even know how to like, I would assume something happened to them, but I don't even know like how to like be a family member to like, you know, like talk about any of those things, you know, like, or be a person, like, so I just think and I also feel like she might feel like sharing that with me might be too much for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I don't want to do you like that. She might think she helping me, you know what I'm saying? She might think she helping me, like, I don't want to do you, like, I don't want you to see me like this. Like, if you see me like, oh my, you think I'm like your best, like, cousin, like, you see me like this, you probably won't never, like, I don't even think, that's what I'm saying, it's so sounded like, even if you really think you could hold somebody humanity, like, I don't know if they think, they know you think you can hold their humanity. Or if they can hold their humanity, but you know in their humanity.
Okay, it's only if you journeyed with them.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that shit, that's like, yeah, I think that's one of the deepest hurts too that we got, man. I think like when colonizers came and like rape is deep, man. That's like a deep, like, and like I'm not even just talking about, I'm just talking about like when you just conquer somebody's spirit in like a moment or something like that, you know what I'm saying? That's like a lot of healing that happens, son. When you like take something that's supposed to have like unlimited possibilities and just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, independent on what's around that person already is going to shape that too. So I think, and that's for like, that's also for like a spirit that like feel like that in that moment that like that's important to do. Like it just like that's to me that's just like a spiritual like collage. Like it's just a lot of healing that needs to happen after that. And I think we don't have enough space to talk about it. So I just feel like, yeah, man, I feel like in navigating that, man, I'm just questioning stuff more and myself really. Cause I'm still too nervous to question it out loud. But I'm just still like, you know, thinking about like where my portals at. Like where I could jump in at, where I see stuff at, where I see people jumping in at, like reading stuff, trying to like listen to like what I read and stuff, like how people was jumping in the past. Like what's the ways that people, did they just say it? Like trying to find some blueprint, some instruction. But I feel like that's a long way out the barrel. I feel like just to even be asking yourself questions about that, like the barrel around that stuff is so deep that like some people don't even get, I feel like that's still like a far way, even though I don't got no answers. Yeah, man, I think a deep thing, and I close on this, I think a deep thing would be like, having some of this kind of like nobody stuff with like, imagine if we had like our moms in between each one of us. That'd be deep.
Word.
I'd rather have beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty. My mom can't handle this, bro.
Because Word, I don't even know. That'd be deep. Cause I don't even know what would come from that. But I think, yeah, man, I think I close on that, man. I think it's a lot of secrets, man. I think like sexual harm is like tied up in like what Bell Hooks said, like a systematic, like historical, like knot of like deceit and like lies, and it's so entangled and it's so deep. It's in like it's in so many families. Like people will like cut you off for them. There's like so much like stuff in it, and there's so much shame connected to it. Like so, it's just hard to like. So like, it's just like a lot of energy around it. I think like just a lot of knots to get through to connect the people's spirits, to try to connect the people around that, or try to like connect to yourself around that. Yeah, I think a lot of our families and our movements, and like definitely know-body people, who I feel like is like definitely in the, whatever the race is, it's like in the back of the race. I feel like everybody's in the back of the race in this. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we just don't talk about it. We don't know how to bring this in our life more. Just so not in deceit and like just quietness and lies. But I'm questioning more.
So you could take space.
Before you share your story, let me tell you who I am. Yo, my name is Cory, and speaking truth ain't always easy, but you gotta own it. And unaddressed pain, we can't condone it, cause we done healed from painful moments. That trauma, we pick a bone with, too much for us to sit alone with. And I ain't perfect or certain that what we doing is working. I'm just asking, how you healing if others is hurting? Share your story. No pain, no glory. Let me share my story. I got a cougar called Nina, that's my favorite 40. In the streets, it's kill or die, so I keep it on me. And I pray, cause some nights I feel the reaper on me. But we straight, past the drama, this a clean slate. Tally up the score, I'm a queen's great. They might catch me slipping, but I keep faith. That's why I'm in and out, like a cheap date. You see me eat the team 8.
I got your back, I hold you down. I got your back, I hold you down. I got your back, I hold you down. I got your back, I hold you down, down, down.
It's a safe
I got
space.
your back,
We
I
make
hold you
space so you
down.
can take space.
I got your back, I hold you down.
It's a safe
I got your
space.
back,
We
I
make
hold
space
you
so you can
down.
take space.
I got your back, I hold you down, down, down.